along with the pericardium. So what is this membrane? This membrane can be given along with the heart or may not be given. So if it is given, you have to mention it. What is this membrane? This is pericardium.
According to
So
what
heart
to diagram.
along with pericardium plus some important blood vessels of the heart. What are those? You are seeing this ascending aorta, very easy to identify. Arch of aorta, then ascending aorta. Along with you are getting the pulmonary arteries. Some veins are there. I am coming out pulmonary veins, SVC, IVC, all are there along with the specimen. So these are collectively known as great vessels of the heart. So great vessels of the heart. Okay. So this is a specimen of heart with great vessels along with the pericardium. Okay. So if you tell only heart, 50% marks will be deducted. Okay. So heart, red vessels plus pericardium if it is present. It may not be present sometimes. Usually it is given along with the specimen. So this is the anatomical position of this specimen. Great vessels like ascending aorta, arch of aorta, pulmonary trunk all looks upward. Okay. So it is not like this. Apex doesn't mean it will look upwards. So the apex of the heart, it looks downwards. So it is downwards, forwards and towards left. Now if you hold the specimen like this is wrong. Although the apex is directed downwards and forwards, but it is not positioned to the left. So you have to place it towards the left. Okay. Now there is a surface of the heart which is flat. So this is known as diaphragmatic surface. This surface is known as diaphragmatic surface. So this surface is directed downwards and backwards. So must rest over your left palm. Heart have to hold always in left hand, not in right hand. So the diaphragmatic surface will rest over your palm. Okay, left palm. So for that you have to identify or differentiate the sternocostal surface from diaphragmatic surface. So number one, the surface area is small here. Number two, it is flat. Whereas if you see the sternocostal surface, the surface area is big and it is to some extent convex. Now this convexity is more on the right, but as it approaches towards the left, the convexity decreases. But it is convex. Maximum part is convex, but here it is flat. So if you hold the specimen in this manner, okay, so this is wrong. So that happens most of the time in exam. So this is falsely diagnosed as sternocostal surface. এটা ভুল হয়. This is not sternocostal surface. What is this surface? Diaphragmatic surface. So you have to hold the heart in this manner. Okay. Now this part is known as the apex. Which chamber is forming the apex? So this is the ventricle. What is base? Base is the posterior surface. How to identify the base? To identify the base, we have to identify the opening of pulmonary veins first. Because base is maximally it is formed by which chamber of the heart? The left atrium. The left atrium is identified by the opening of pulmonary veins. How many veins are there? Pulmonary 4. So these are two veins. Right pair of pulmonary veins. These are left pair. Okay. So left pair of pulmonary vein. This is one. This is one. You are entering into the left ventricle, right, left atrium. This is one. This is another. So these are two right pair. These are two left pair. Now where is IVC and SVC? This is which chamber of the heart? Right atrium.
Right atrium.
This is on the right side. So in the lower part of the right atrium, there is IVC opening. And in the upper part of the right atrium, is this SVC opening. So must be clear at this point. So here the right atrium is exposed here by cutting along the right border of the heart. Where is the right border? Right SVC to IVC. So this is right border. So this is the method of opening the interior of the right atrium by cutting along this right border of the heart. And through SVC opening up to IVC opening. So in exam, you will get this type of specimen where SVC opening and IVC opening will be cut in this manner. So if you join this, so there is IVC opening. If you join this, so this is okay. So this is superior vena cava. This is inferior vena cava. So which chamber it is?
Right atrium.
So right atrium and left atrium together form base of the heart. Which surface of this atrium? Posterior surface. Okay. So each atria has got one anterior surface and posterior surface. So suppose this is right atrium. So this is the anterior surface of the right atrium, isn't it? So it forms which surface? Sternocostal surface. This is the posterior surface. Posterior surface. Has also one anterior surface and but visualize surface. Posterior surface. But you cannot visualize the anterior surface of the left atrium because of these two important vessels. One is the ascending aorta, another is the pulmonary trunk. So these two will obscure the left atrium from anteriorly. So you cannot see the anterior surface of the left atrium, but there is definitely an anterior surface of the left atrium is there. Okay, but what you can visualize from anterior aspect, this appendage, this is known as left auricle. Yeah, this entire part is auricle. Okay, where blood clot may form, thrombus হতে পারে, যেখান থেকে এম্বলিজম হতে পারে, ভেরি ডিভাস্টেটিং কন্ডিশন। লেফট অ্যাট্রিয়ামে হলে সিস্টেমিক এম্বলিজম হবে, রাইট অ্যাট্রিয়ামে হলে রাইট অরিকলে হলে পালমোনারি এম্বলিজম, দুটোই ডিভাস্টেটিং কন্ডিশন। Okay, so this is left auricle. Okay, and what is this auricle?
Right auricle.
Along with right atrium. So this surface is which surface of the heart? Posterior surface or base? Now the base of the heart or the posterior surface, there is a groove, as you can see, because this is right atrium and what is this? Left. So this is a groove, very faint groove known as interatrial groove. So this groove is interatrial groove. Clear? Now another surface you are getting here, that is the diaphragmatic surface. What I have told, because this surface is flat in anatomical position, what is the direction of this surface? It is down as well as slightly back. Okay, so what you are getting on the diaphragmatic surface, is there any atria here? No, it is solely formed by the ventricles. Which ventricle? What is this ventricle?
Right ventricle.
Okay, बहुत follow करें। Ventricle left. So what is left? And what is this ventricle? Right. And what is this? So this is posterior. দেখতে পাচ্ছিস গ্রুপটা? Clearly visible. এই যে perceptor আছে। So this is posterior interventricular groove. The diaphragmatic surface, 2/3 formed by left maximum contribution, 1/3 formed by right. ঠিক আছে? And this groove is known as posterior interventricular groove. Now come to the anterior aspect. What is this surface? So তার আগে বলি, what is the direction of this base of the heart in anatomical position? Now in anatomical কিছু বলবেন? আপনি একটু বাইরে যান। একটু না, এখানে ক্লাস হচ্ছে, প্লিজ। থ্যাংক ইউ। So this is the base. Okay, what is this area? Base. Now in anatomical position, what is the direction of the base?
Posterior
Right. So this is directed backwards and right. Diaphragmatic surface backwards and down. Sternocostal surface forwards. Okay, this is mostly convex. Now what are the chambers that are forming this surface? Left ventricle, right ventricle, 2/3 by the right, 1/3 by the left. Contribution, minor contribution from left auricle, right auricle, and anterior surface of right atrium. So the major surface is this surface, sternocostal surface. Now there lies a groove here between right ventricle, left ventricle, anterior interventricular groove here. What is this groove? Posterior interventricular groove. Now come to coronary sulcus. Anterior atrioventricular groove, which has got one right part and left part. So between right atrium and right ventricle, So what is this groove? Anterior, right এ আছে যেহেতু right anterior.
Right
So this is right anterior atrioventricular. Where is the left anterior atrioventricular? As there is no part of the left atrium visualized anteriorly, so we have to consider the left auricle here instead of left atrium. So between left auricle and left ventricle, so this groove is left anterior atrioventricular groove, very small groove. Okay. Now, what is posterior atrioventricular groove? This horizontally directed groove. Why? Because it is separating the base formed by the two atria from diaphragmatic surface formed by two ventricles. What is the name of this groove? Posterior atrioventricular. Now, if you trace the whole groove, see here, right anterior atrioventricular, then it becomes continuous with posterior atrioventricular, then it becomes continuous with left anterior atrioventricular. So this whole thing, here. So left anterior atrioventricular, posterior atrioventricular, কিছু করতে হবে না, just press করে যান. Then right anterior atrioventricular. Automatically it will be continuous. But continuous where? In the back. But not anteriorly because of the presence of these two important structures, ascending aorta and the pulmonary trunk. So this groove is discontinuous anterior. Is it clear? So this entire atrioventricular groove is known as coronary sulcus. Okay, now come to the back. This posterior atrioventricular groove, posterior interventricular groove, and interatrial groove. So this meeting point is known as crux. Very important, crux of the heart. Posterior interventricular, posterior atrioventricular, and interatrial. So this point is known as crux of the heart, meeting point of three grooves. Now what is the importances of these grooves of the heart? Because they contain coronary artery and their branches, and also some important tributaries of coronary sinus. So I am not going to that part, coronary sinus. I am going to the part of coronary artery. How many coronary arteries are there? Right coronary artery and left coronary artery. What are the branches? They are the branches of what? Aorta. Which aorta? Ascending aorta. Now from ascending aorta, first there is origin of RCA. See here. Suppose my forceps is right coronary artery. It is arising from this ascending aorta, going downwards between right auricle and the pulmonary trunk, along which groove it is descending, right anterior atrioventricular groove. Okay. Now after that, it winds round the inferior border. I am coming out of the heart, and then it comes in which part of the groove? Posterior atrioventricular groove. It comes where? Posterior atrioventricular groove. Okay. At the same time, LCA, left coronary artery, after arising from this ascending aorta, it goes in this groove. What is this groove? Left anterior atrioventricular. But in front of ascending aorta, there is a structure known as pulmonary trunk. So to reach this groove, the left coronary artery must have to pass behind the pulmonary trunk. যেতে হবে তো? So my forceps, suppose it is the LCA. Reach করেছো? So it is passing behind the pulmonary trunk and it reaches at the left anterior atrioventricular groove. What happens thereafter? Now this LCA, left coronary artery, the main trunk, see here, it lodges here. Okay? And it divides into two divisions. One is going downwards along this groove. This is known as anterior interventricular artery. Another, it goes towards the posterior atrioventricular groove here. This is known as circumflex artery. Why it is called circumflex? Because it winds round the left border of the heart. Left border of the heart ke bhabe cross korche. So that's why it is known as circumflex artery. So circumflex artery, it goes to the posterior atrioventricular groove, where lies the RCA also. Now these two, this circumflex artery and the RCA, these two will anastomose with each other at the level of the crux. So, if my forceps is RCA and this chalk is circumflex, so this will be the anastomosis at the level of the crux. What happens? Now, from this RCA, a branch will arise and it descends downward like this along the posterior interventricular groove. So, what will be the name of this artery? Posterior interventricular artery. Now, what happens to this artery? Now, see here, this anterior interventricular artery is going downwards. Then it touches the inferior border of the heart. What is this border? Inferior border. Why? Because this is IVC opening and this is apex. So this border is known as inferior border. Now this groove is touching the inferior border in a notch known as incisura epicis cordis. তাহলে এই জায়গাটা হচ্ছে incisura. Now anterior interventricular artery, it passes, it passes along this groove, then it winds round the incisura epicis cordis and finally it goes where? In the diaphragmatic surface. চলে এলো? And it lodges in this groove. What is the name of this groove? Posterior interventricular. So in the posterior interventricular groove, what happens? This anterior interventricular and this posterior interventricular, they will anastomose. So two important anastomosis we are getting here. One is the anastomosis between the circumflex artery and RCA. Another between these two interventricular, anterior interventricular and posterior interventricular. That is all. ঠিক আছে আর কি সারফেস আছে দিস সারফেস ইজ লেফট সারফেস solely formed by the left ventricle, left border of the heart from left auricle to apex. So this border is left border separating the sternocostal surface from left surface. Okay, from SVC, this is the SVC to IVC. What is this border? Right. Is it clear? From IVC to apex, what is this border?
Inferior border.
That is the heart external surface.